Welcome to the Shot Clock, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz and Dave Rubin with you. So Magic Johnson used to play on the Laker team in the 80s.
Vaguely, Irvin something or other?
Irvin, I think that's right.
Yes, yes.
I went to Illinois.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It was somewhere in the Big Ten. No, Magic Johnson, who, of course, the great Laker, coached the Lakers, an executive with the Lakers, now an executive with the Dodgers. And his fractured relationship with the Lakers is pretty significant here in L.A. since Dr. Jerry Buss died and Jim Buss and Jeannie Buss took over the running of the team. Jim Buss handling the basketball part, Jeannie Buss handling the business part. And Magic's relationship with Jim Buss has been enormously strained ever since Jim Buss in 2012 hired Mike D'Antoni instead of bringing Phil Jackson back.
Yep.
And everybody knows that it's a fractured relationship, but Magic made it clear this week in an interview, although he certainly left it open for the relationship to be repaired, but he had some tough words for Jim Buss.
This is where I have the problem, Stephen A. When you're wrong, and you got to stand up and say, I made a mistake.
Right.
He has not once said to Laker Nation, Mike Brown, I made a mistake. Coach D'Antoni, I made a mistake. Just say, hey, I made a mistake. We can understand that. Okay, we can deal with that. He always put it on somebody else. Then he's mad at me because I criticized him, right? Oh, Magic's trying to get a job with the Lakers. Magic's trying to, bring me down. No, I'm not. I'm telling the truth about the situation, trying to make us better.
Interesting, couple interesting things there. One, still using us. Like Magic still, no matter what, he's still a Laker.
You know, when there's a statue of you outside the stadium, you pretty much can always say.
Statue looks nothing like him. Nothing.
I'm pretty sure it's him, though.
Yeah, it is.
It says 32.
Yeah, it appears to be Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
No resemblance at all. Yeah, so interesting that he still feels that connection to use us. He went on in the interview, it was with Stephen A. Smith, to say what, and if Magic is right about this, and I don't know, none of us know exactly the details of how the Lakers are being run, but if Magic is right, and that Jim Buss is the one ultimately deciding that it's going to be Mike Brown or Mike, and then firing Mike Brown, I think prematurely, and then going with D'Antoni instead of Phil Jackson after apparently giving all indications that it was going to Phil, that it was going to be Phil, and including causing what I imagine is a fairly significant fight with his sister, Phil Jackson's longtime girlfriend.
Right.
No owner should be making these decisions. These decisions should rest with the head of basketball operations, the general manager, whatever title that guy has, the president. These are basketball decisions that should be handled by basketball people. And Mitch Kupchak, as Magic Johnson points out, he gave full faith in Mitch Kupchak. Mitch knows the game. He should be the one making these decisions. If Kupchak is the I don't mean to diminish him as a member of the world champion 1978 Washington Bullets, but if he's just the lackey for Jim Buss and executing his orders, well then they're doomed to failure the way the Yankees were when George Steinbrenner was making baseball decisions throughout the 1980s, or the way the Washington football team is right now with Dan Snyder making football decisions.
So that's totally the key part here. You can only blame the guy in charge of basketball operations if he's actually in charge of basketball operations.
That's a fair point.
It's not just a title. You have to actually have that power. So in this case, Magic's basically saying he doesn't have that power. So I pretty much agree with everything that Magic's saying here, except that we all thought, or at least I certainly thought, and I think most of the basketball community thought, that when they brought in Steve Nash and Dwight Howard, and Kobe, was still pre these couple injuries, everyone thought that team was going to be pretty good. I mean, a lot of the people at the beginning of the season thought that was going to be a finals team. It was an abject failure, and then has led to everything else that's a disaster now. So sometimes you just make bad decisions. So if Magic's point is, well, I want him to apologize for those bad decisions, in sports, do people ever really, I think it might be a good idea now. They're so bad now, but
apologies, smology. Nobody needs an apology. You need to just say, Mitch Kupchak's running the team. Like, that's fine. That's all people need. Magic points out they got a high draft choice coming in. They will have the ability to sign at least one max free agent. They can make a significant difference. And then most interestingly, what Magic said was that Kobe should say, if they don't get somebody next year, if they don't bring in a A-level free agent, I'm not sure Marc Gasol qualifies as a really nice player.
Yeah.
By the way, just for the record, how great is that trade for Memphis? I got it. Everyone just needs to remember that now. And look, I'm about to do what I literally hate, patting myself on the back.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was an overstatement to rip that trade then, and it turns out now that trade worked out for Memphis, and they had a long-range plan. Also, I didn't think that was going to work then. I made a little money on the Steve Nash, Dwight Howard. You don't bring in guys in their mid-30s and win, ever, in any sport. It just doesn't work. You might catch magic in a bottle, but it's unlikely. So, but yes, they were defendable moves, and of course that year with Dwight Howard, there was a competitive team. Obviously, it wasn't the disaster that the Lakers have been for the last 2 years. But what he is saying very quickly was that Kobe, if they don't bring in a quality free agent, should not play next year. And I tend to agree with that. Like, I don't think any of us want to see Kobe after really what is now going to be 3 straight years ending with an injury, coming back for what probably will be his last season, and playing on a team that goes 25 and 57. All right, let us know your thoughts on what Magic has to say about Jim Buss and about Kobe in the comments section. Be sure to describe. Be sure to
describe what the hell we talked about.
Subscribe to the channel.